Welcome to the GoPROcast, where we invite business doers who are changing lives by sharing their stories, their strategies and tactics, and who bravely talk about their failures that actually led to their biggest successes. Now it's time to Go Pro with Jeremy Torisk. My next guest helps entrepreneurs transform their frustrations into freedoms by using a variety of frameworks that help them cut through the chaos of running a business. He's refined his tips, tools, and techniques within his own businesses, and now he loves to share them with others so they can live the life that they deserve as business owners. Please welcome to the GoPROcast, Mr. Pete Moore. Welcome to the GoPROcast, Pete.
Hey, man, it's great to be here with you, Jeremy. I'm excited for today's conversation.
Yeah, if anything, we're already off to a funny start under some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, but
it's good to have a smile.
Exactly. So anyway, I start off the show the same every time by paying homage to a very good friend of mine, business coach, and one hell of a sales coach, Steve Noodleberg, by asking, tell me something good.
Well, something good. I have been working with a client for a while, and she's just coming through some real breakthroughs, which I consider, a real excitement. So when I see some of the people that I'm working with experiencing some breakthroughs, that is just great news for me. That's why I do what I'm doing. So I just love it.
Got it. Love it. How long have you been working with her?
About 2 months.
Wow,
She's a goer. She gets stuff done. There's no doubt about it. She gets stuff done. But when we talk, I just love working with people that implement, and it's just like done, check it off. She is one of those people, and it's exciting to work with her and exciting to see her growth and what's happening within her business.
I call that acting at the speed of instruction.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, that's what they do. So tell us a little bit about what you did before you helped people through coaching and stuff. We're going to get through all that stuff and how you help people now. But what brought you to this? What was your experience growing up in the business industry? And what were you doing
long
before?
Story short, I've been in business all my life, Jeremy, and I started right out of university. Basically, worked for about 6 months for my dad's best friend, actually, which his name's Pete too, and great business. I love Pete and loved his business, but I also realized at that time that working for somebody else just wasn't for me. And I went through business school and stuff like that, so I figured I'd be an entrepreneur someday. And I'd had little businesses growing through school and high school and university and all that kind of stuff. Those little landscaping and lawn cutting and doing crafts with my mom and selling them and all sorts of different things. So I grew up that way.
A little entrepreneurial spirit there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's throughout my family. It's my dad ran a big construction company. Aunts and uncles are farmers and different entrepreneurs, and so it's really around my life. And
was that in Canada?
It is. Yeah. So I grew up in the Ottawa area. I now live about an hour outside of Toronto. Most people know where Toronto is. And so from that perspective, I'm about an hour outside of Toronto now. And how did I get here? Well, I had some bathroom renovation companies. I had a cleaning company. I've almost always owned 2 businesses at the same time.
Hustle, grinding.
I started some, I grew some, I've sold some, I've closed one. I've been through different businesses, and I currently own a couple of shoe stores that I've owned for 11 years now. And even from that, that's called Shoetopia here in Ontario. And from that side of things, we've had, I bought one, I opened one, I bought another one, transferred the name, then closed it. So, lots of different things around business, but always been in business, always liked talking business. Business to me gives me energy. It doesn't take energy away.
I don't have a sound effect for this yet. So for the listeners, they can't tell, but for the viewers, the walls are melting. And I have a guy named Marco Torres I interviewed a couple of days ago. I call him an older guy, but he has more energy than both of us put together. And when I did it, he was laughing. He said, "Value bomb." And I was like, that's it. I'm going to put his voice right over that thing. When I click it, it's going to say "value bomb." So
that is
awesome,
so interesting, because I literally, before this conversation, talked to Marco.
No way.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm talking about, Marco Torres.
I know who you're talking about. I literally talked to him a half an hour ago.
Oh, that's hilarious. Well, there you go. So he's awesome. and we're both Floridians. Well, he moved here later in life, but
Yeah,
we know a lot of the same places.
cool.
So yeah, energy gives you talking business gives you energy. I'm the same way. I'm the
Yeah,
exact same way. If I'm not interested in it, I'm almost lethargic. I thought I had a problem in school. I would just not. I couldn't keep my eyes open. But as soon as drumline came along, bam, I was up and doing ROTC. Yes, sir, fastest promoted student in high school history. And then right out of the chute, man, anything I ever needed to do, I had to love it.
yeah,
Had to come into my pores. And that's
yeah.
how business is to me now and helping
Well,
people.
you were asking me how I got here. Well, I got here because business has been my, outside of course my family, my relationships are the most important to me. But
Yeah.
from a work perspective, um, there's nothing more interesting to me than talking business. So love talking business, all kinds of business. Love talking to entrepreneurs. Love seeing
Hmm.
how they're doing. Love seeing how they're growing. What they're doing to help other people. My belief and my feeling, and the reason I do what I do is because I truly believe that entrepreneurs are the backbone of every community. And
Yeah.
in some
Yeah.
small way, if I can help those entrepreneurs be more successful, have more time, make more money, then they're going to give back to their communities in bigger ways than they ever did before. And in some little way, I've
Yeah.
had some little take on helping that happen and making that community a little better. So when we talk sort of legacy around the thing and why I'm doing what I'm doing, it's kind of like I just love talking this way, and in some little way I might be able to help a community do even better by helping
Yes.
their entrepreneur do better, freeing up their time so they can give their time back. Because the entrepreneurs are the people that basically run. They're the coaches in the little league baseball or hockey or
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah.
They're the deacons of the church a lot of times. They're running the Lions Club and all the different community support programs. They're the ones that generally fund the wings of the hospitals and the new playground at the local corner, basically.
Yes.
That kind of stuff that happens often, not always, but often through entrepreneurs. And they can only do that if they make more money, or they can only lead these different organizations and charitable organizations if they have more time. And so that's what I'm trying to do with all of the things that I do around coaching and helping people through simplifying entrepreneurship, is to give them back more time, reduce the frustration, and give them more freedom so that they can then go out and spread the wealth.
I love it. And then, doing that too, whenever I look at entrepreneurship and the employees that I have, I see if a company has 5 employees, I really multiply that by 5 or 6 because the ripple effect of the immediate family that they're supporting, and maybe the
Yeah.
cousins or the sisters or the other people in their community, like you said, the churches that they're funding, it really mushroom clouds very quickly the impact an entrepreneur has on a community when you start helping 3 or 4 medium-sized businesses. I mean, the numbers get into the hundreds and the thousands very, very quickly.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing, so yeah, that gives me excitement. Gives me It's like, wow, I feel good about that, and I want to do more.
So when you say you transform their business by framing up a variety of frameworks, so what are some things that work for you that are your typical go-to when you have a strategy session that you find a common thread through the entrepreneurial community there that they typically need your help with?
Most often, it's freeing up their time. You
So there
know,
is it because their priorities are off? Are they not
it's a
prioritizing? Is it
variety.
too
Yeah, it's a
complicated?
variety of different things, and it just depends on where they're at, whether they're in startup phase or whether they've been at it for a few years
Hmm.
or whether they've been at it for a long time. But a lot of the times, Jeremy, people look back and they're kind of like, if you've been in business for a while, you look back and you're like, what the heck just happened here? 5 years has gone by. I'm
Yes.
still working 50, 60, 70 hours a week.
Yeah,
I'm
operators.
still not taking vacations. I'm still not, maybe I have a bit more money, but I'm still not really enjoying my life. So
Yeah.
usually where we start is trying to sort of decipher what freedoms you actually want.
Mm.
So we start off with that. And it's like, okay, well, what is it that you actually want out of your business? Because you got in business to have a better life. And if your business owns you, that's a problem
Yeah.
instead of you owning your business.
Right.
So it's this idea of sort of authority over your business instead of your business having authority over you. And then we dig down into some of those structures. And, one of the biggest things that we talk about, or I talk about a lot, is used to be the 4 Ps, but now it's the 5 Ps as I'm writing this book out, basically. And it all
Beautiful.
I'll give them to you quickly, and then we can dig into them depending on what you think the audience might be interested in.
Sure.
But they are, and in no particular order, but I usually do them in this order. The first one is truly understanding what your promise is. The next one is aligning the product to the promise, which often isn't actually happening. There's a disconnect there in some way. And then really perfecting your processes, your systems that actually
Mm.
deliver your product or service and make the promise happen. And then it's your people. And people I break down into three different things. One is your ideal client. The second one is your terrific team, basically your perfect team members that are going to help support that. And the last one is all the outsourced partners and the different
Yes.
groups and the anybody who's helping you deliver your promise, right? So
Yes.
all three of those is those three make up people or the community around you that makes this thing happen so that you can get the last P, more profit. And when you
That's right.
have more profit, then it's up to you as the leader of the business what you're going to do with that. And that is a freeing thing. When you actually have the money that you want and the profit that you want out of the business because you've aligned all these other things in perfect alignment and you're always working on that, the profit comes. And when the profit comes, you can then say, do I want to start a new business? Do I want to buy a rental property? Do I want to take a month vacation? You can start
Yes.
making choices that you never could before when you were mired down in the frustration. And it doesn't happen until you have the alignment of all those things. And some people are out of alignment in process. Some people are out of alignment in
Hmm.
product, or some people are out of alignment in people. And most often it's people that is the big out of alignment, and
Yes.
that's the one that keeps most entrepreneurs up at night. So depending on where they're at after sort of a discovery call, it's like, what do we need to work on, and we go to work on it, right?
Yeah, that's great. And do you find you have to kind of on that strategy call really work out what each one does so that they can understand how to give you the clues to their business so that you can kind of see the gaps in
Yeah.
there? Or do you find that most people in these days are a little bit more smarter because of YouTube and the Tony Robbins videos and everything that's out there? How do you find people being open to what you have to offer?
Great. I mean, ultimately, I think when by the time people get to me, they're ready to take action.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And, you can read, I've got books behind me for those of you who are watching. I have lots of books. I run a book club, an entrepreneurial book club as part of
Yes.
Simplifying Entrepreneurship. I'm a big reader, voracious reader, always trying to learn and always trying to get better. But if you don't take those learnings and actually make them actionable. So I,
Yes.
I have a framework, another framework called the entrepreneurial IPA. You ideate about stuff, you postulate about stuff, and if you stop there, it's a problem. You need to activate. That's the most important part.
Yeah.
Ideate, postulate, but activate. And if you don't activate, so from that side of things, like I said on our biggest win right off the bat, it's like this lady activates, right? And
Yes.
and I'm frustrated as a coach when people don't want to activate. And that's when it's not a right fit for me. It's like I want to work with people that actually want to move the ball here.
Yeah. And so when people don't activate, is it more a fear of change? Is it the fact that they don't like the uncomfortableness, or is it a fact of maybe they just aren't ready, period, for doing the work?
It's a combination.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. Again, depends. Everybody's so unique, and that's
Hmm.
that's interesting. But I mean, people procrastinate for a variety of different reasons. It could be a personal thing. It could be just in their head. It could be a fear of failure, which is often a big one, right? The fear of just not being able to do it.
Yeah.
And I think Dan Sullivan and Ben Hardy wrote a book recently off of Dan Sullivan's and Dean Jackson's idea called Who Not How. And the idea around that is really an interesting one, is that you don't always need to know how to do everything. You just need to know who can help you through it.
Sure. That's a
And
big one.
you
That's
know,
huge.
that's That's
Bam.
essentially what we do as coaches, Jeremy, is
Yeah.
we try to put some of those things together. We're not there to do it for them. That's a consultant. That's a different gig. If you're looking to have something done for you, then you hire a consultant or you have somebody do it for you. If you're looking for a coach, the coaches don't run the race. They don't take the dive. They don't take the shot. They don't swing the bat. They actually are there in support and guidance so that you're becoming even better. And along the way, it's just an interesting that's just an interesting separation, because some people don't really understand what coaches do compared to
Hmm.
consultants with
Yes.
when it comes to this kind of work.
That's right. It's standing back and looking at the mechanics, which is kind of like akin to the process,
Yeah,
right? And I think that a lot of people that I deal with have a problem with delegating, right?
for
The idea
sure.
that no one can do it
Oh
as good
yeah.
as I can, and they're right. That's why they got into the business, because they were the best at what they did,
Yep.
and they wanted to do it for themselves. But until you learn how to delegate and give
Yeah.
out those things,
Yeah.
ooh, that's one of the hardest ones. And it for a sixth P, since we're or the fifth P
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
perspective. You just
Yeah.
got to stand back and look at things a little differently.
Yeah.
And with the end in mind, like you do,
Yeah.
let's take a look at what you want your freedom. What does that look like? All right. And one of the questions I frequently ask is, what does success look like to you? And it sounds like to me, you've got a very clean example of a recent woman who is experiencing it relatively quickly, which is
Yeah.
God bless her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Doesn't always happen that quick.
But how long would you say you would work with someone before um, start feeling guilty about maybe taking their money and tell them,
I never
I'm
feel
going to
guilty
fire
about
them?
I never feel guilty about that. If it's a good connection, we're having good conversations,
Yeah.
there's worth on both ends. And
Yeah.
from like I said, it depends on what they're looking for. And when we work through these things, a lot of times people when they reach out, they're at a ceiling of complexity that they're trying to break through, right? So it's like, what frameworks, what systems can we put in place? I've developed a bunch of mine, but I also use a bunch of other people's too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to me, it really
It's
doesn't
important.
matter. I mean, these things are already out there and they're good systems. We don't need to change it. We just
Right.
need to implement it.
And
So
figure out the
let's
best one for the person's,
yeah.
right?
So, from that side of things, digging down into the framework, like I said, a lot of times it's around process implementation, because you can't unload the process, you can't unload the system, and the word system. One of my coaches said to introduced this acronym for the word system to me a while back, and it's a system saves you stress, time, energy, and money. So what
Right.
does the
A
system
proper
do?
system.
It saves you stress, time, energy, and money. So or process, right? So from that side of things, once you align all the processes in your business and take them out of your head as the owner and put them into a systemized process, you're now able to actually delegate that process to somebody else. And
Yeah.
that's when freedom starts to happen for the entrepreneur or for anybody else that's in that accountability chart that's delegating something. It needs to be clear and concise so that anybody can do it in a straightforward manner with a
Yeah.
yes or no answer.
The keep it simple system.
That's
Keep it
it.
super simple. Right.
Right.
We covered the
And
stupid word.
and so, I find a lot of entrepreneurs, working in areas of making decisions at a very low level, which is very sad,
It's
because
really incredible.
there's only so many decision making juices in your body every day.
I've heard that said before, not quite that way. But that's funny that you say it that way. I'm going to try to remember that one.
It's like, it drains out. It
Yeah.
drains out.
Yeah.
And then but the day there's 24 hours in a day. So sometimes those decisions need to be later in the day, but if you have no more juice left, you're not
Yeah.
making the right decision.
You're
So
hosing.
you
That's a
need
lot of
to
times you're with your family at that point, and
yeah,
you know
you know,
you're not doing them any service by leaving it all at the office, so to speak.
you need to be able to unload these lower level decisions. And
Yeah.
so I use the framework around making the decision at the lowest level possible in the organization.
Yeah. But the
Always.
accountability and giving them foresight of the results of their decisions
Right.
and the consequences on the next department of the installer that goes out. Which
Yep.
industry do you love working with in that community? What do you have sort of a
Well,
niche, or do you?
I mean, I work. It's so interesting with this business. I work with lawyers, I work with insurance agents, I work with retailers, I work with
Mm.
refinishers,
Well, you've
and
done a lot in
because
in all these
I have
sectors.
sort of a interesting
Yeah,
background, I
yeah,
really can talk to a lot of different things. So, and what I'm talking about is running a business. It's not running a specific business. I'm
yeah.
not giving you marketing tips to grow a retail business. That's not what I do. I'm talking about running your business and living the life that you want to live
Love
as
it.
an entrepreneur, and setting up your business so that you can use it to give you the life. And that's the stuff. I'm not working with managers. I'm not working with I'm working with the owners. And so driving this kind of stuff home and really pulling out what they want, and then let's design the business, the systems, the frameworks around it, so that you can elevate yourself and get out of that sort of thing,
Yeah,
get out of those little decisions, so that you can really be, if a decision can be systematized and worked at a lower level, then you, as the owner and the founder and the creator and all this stuff, can really spend a lot more time working on the ones that aren't
that's
systematized.
right. Yeah.
And that's where you're bringing your most value. It's like, okay, am I in alignment with the promise? Am I in alignment with all this stuff? Because you know that better than anyone. So
Yes.
now I can take this new area that we haven't really put into systems yet and focus my energy and time and create around that, so that I can then take it, build the system, and give it off and hand it off, like you said, delegate it to somebody else for the next time it
Yeah,
happens.
I remember there's the delegate it, automate it, or eliminate it. Those
Yeah.
are the pretty much the three
Yeah.
choices,
Yeah.
the things that you need to do every day
Yeah.
if they're recurring. I want to talk a little bit about your website and also about the business assessment,
Sure.
um, business report assessment that you offer.
Awesome.
So let me just click some buttons here and give you some love here. So that's
Cool.
the website in itself. Get
Yeah.
rid of this header. Is simplifying entrepreneurship, and I
Yeah.
love the name of that. It's a great creative name, but it's simple and it's to the point. Tell us a little bit about the business report
Yeah.
assessment that you do.
Yeah.
That's and I see the button right there. Take the assessment.
Yep.
What would
It's
somebody experience when they do that?
So basically, I'm a Business Made Simple certified coach, and this is an assessment through Business Made Simple. And what it is, when you take the assessment, it takes about 12 minutes or so to do the assessment. But what it'll do is it'll spit you back between 50 and 60 pages in a
Mm,
PDF of what you're doing really well and what you need to improve on. And it's
mm.
sort of, I love dashboarding with green, yellow, and red lights, all sorts of things. So it dashboards green and red, sort of around the framework of an airplane. And the airplane,
Oh yeah.
at the cockpit's your leadership, right? The wings are your marketing and your sales, and that sort of thing. And basically gives you this idea of
Mm,
whether your plane is in tip-top shape, whether it's going to fly, sink, or swim,
that's
because maybe she's going down because it's too heavy, right? So from that side of things, it lays it out visually, but it gives you all sorts of great stuff within this 50 or 60-page document. Again, depending on how you answer the questions, will depend on how long the document is, and it's free. So
yeah.
it's worthy of taking, so you can have something to look at and live by over the next little while.
That is a great, like I said, I really like it. I was tooling around a little bit with it, and I'm looking forward to taking it myself. And also,
Cool.
my son, he's got a business that I share with him, a landscape business. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to for him to take care of it. LinkedIn, this is another big one that I'm very much into. This is your LinkedIn
Yeah.
page. So Pete Moore, MOHR. But this, so you see, simplifying entrepreneurship is up in the header. So for the people who are listening, to put Pete Moore in LinkedIn and come up with a million of them. It's the very handsome hairless one with the simplifying entrepreneurship photo up there in the header. And so that's how you can tell if you're on the right one, because really that's where I live these days in
Me
LinkedIn.
too.
I don't do any marketing, very
Yeah.
little anywhere else, because that's where my people are,
Yeah, yeah,
you know.
I'm with you. I'm more on LinkedIn than I mean, I'm on Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that, but
That's all secondary.
yeah, for me, LinkedIn's
My copy paste, boom, put it over there.
yeah,
But where I compliment and celebrate and console is in LinkedIn. All right, that's
yeah.
where I feed the feed and read the feed and hopefully stop the scroll is over here. All the buzzwords.
Yep.
I'm interested in your entrepreneur book club. It's something I've thought of doing lately
Yeah.
and putting it out there and trying to start one. How did you start yours? And what kind of rewards or benefits have you gotten from having it? And how big is the group? How many times a year do you do it? What's
Yeah.
your how does that work for you? I was just literally thinking about doing this a couple days ago.
Cool. So a year ago, January last year, I formed a Facebook group called it the Simplifying Entrepreneurship Book Club, which I've now changed to just Simplifying Entrepreneurship Group. But nonetheless, it's still the book club is still one of the guides in that group, and then I have my podcast as another guide in that group and what have you. But it's so that's the group, and it started off basically with me just on LinkedIn and my email list and stuff saying, "Hey, is anybody interested in doing a business book group? We're not doing the latest romance and stuff like that. We're doing business books. We're going to pick one a month, and go from there." And said, yeah, I'm interested. So we grew the group. We've got 84 people in the group now,
Wow.
and typically, not everybody's there every month, and because
Sure.
maybe the book resonates with them, maybe it doesn't, and that sort of thing. So what we do is we pick a book at the beginning of every month, and anybody who's listening to this is welcome to join mine too. It's free, of course, but we really just pick a book. This month is Vivid Vision by Cameron Harold, and
Okay.
we've done 12 books in the last month, but we've committed to another year. So what we do is we post a little bit about it throughout the month, and then at the end of the month, the last Friday of every month, we hop on a Zoom call for an hour and just discuss it. Whoever's
Uh,
available.
yeah, I like
Sometimes
it.
there's 6 people, sometimes there's 10 people, but it's always a good sort of conversation around the book, and it gets into other stuff too, as we're
Yeah.
all kind of masterminding around this different stuff, which is just cool conversation.
Plus, it leads
So
to connecting people who are like-minded and have a
yeah,
business mind, and sounds
yeah.
like it's a great, positive place to spend some time.
Exactly. So, from that perspective, I think it's just I think it's a great thing, and it's just a good community of like-minded people that want to grow and have a better business and a better entrepreneurial life.
I love it. I like everything about what you stand for. I like your intensity, your energy, your passion, your authenticity, your history, all the other adjectives you can come up with. It's all good stuff, Pete.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for being on this show. What can we do for you? Anything that you need, you got to ask from our audience or from myself?
If you all I'm saying is that if you like what you hear, then go over to Simplifying Entrepreneurship, take the assessment. I'll reach out to you, and we can have a little conversation on the back end. Or if you want to learn more from me, you've got all the contacts, or you can hop on over to my podcast, which is also called Simplifying Entrepreneurship. Always
Yeah,
trying to keep things in that brand so it's very easy to find.
yeah, we're going to push some people over to that one. I'm going to listen to it myself and give it a go. Give it a go because the more you expose yourself to this stuff, the more you personally are going to grow in your own business, and the more you help people because it's all about input and output. Take in the good, give out the good, and people are put in front of you at certain times of your life at just the right moment. Something you said to somebody could resonate and help the next person just like that. So I'm going to be on the Pete Moore ship here for a minute here. I
Love it,
appreciate it.
buddy.
You coming on my show, even with the beginning we had, which was very comical.
It's all
But
good.
it's all good. It absolutely is. We're going to go live pretty soon, and so I can't afford any shenanigans when we go live. But listen, it's better to cut your teeth now with those things. But I'm going to say goodbye for now, and we'll be in your orbit here for a minute.
Sweet. Thanks, bud.
All right, Pete. And I want to thank everybody for watching. That was a great episode, Pete Moore. It was a great guest, and really, I want you to really look at this website. Take the assessment, business report assessment. I'm going to do it myself. Garrett's going to do it. We're going to share what we find with you guys. Please take your time and spread the word about this podcast, the GoPROcast, Simplifying Entrepreneurship. Well worth it, your time checking Pete's stuff out. And we will see you all next time on the GoPROcast.